Lesson 3.5, Surveys and Opinion Polls. Our objective for this lesson is to be able to find a confidence interval for a statistical study given a margin of error and a sample statistic. We also want to be able to explain the significance of the confidence interval for the results of our survey. First, let's define margin of error. The margin of error is a pair of percentages above and below a sample statistic that expresses the amount of sampling error in the result of a survey. So remember that when we take a survey, we're not asking everyone in the population, we're just asking a small sample. And so the margin of error expresses how likely it is that the results of our survey are the same results that we would have gotten if we had asked everyone in the population. So the higher the margin of error, the less confidence we're going to have in the results of the survey. So that brings us to confidence interval. A confidence interval is a range of values that is likely to contain the true population parameter. So to find the confidence interval, we add and subtract the margin of error from the sample statistic, and that gives us a range of values where we say we are reasonably confident that if we asked everyone in the population, the actual result of this of a survey of everyone would lie somewhere between these two values. So that's our confidence interval. Now let's use margin of error to find our confidence interval. So to do that, we're going to start with our sample statistic, and I've put it on a number line here. And then we're going to add to that sample statistic our margin of error. And let's say that brings us to right here. So this distance that we've gone out is adding the margin of error to our sample statistic. And then we also want to subtract the margin of error. So this would be subtracting the margin of error from our sample statistic is going to put us out here on this number line. And so our confidence interval is going to be this interval from here out to here. That's our confidence interval. And that's all we have to do. We're just going to start with our sample statistic. We're going to add our margin of error and subtract our margin of error from that sample statistic. And then the interval from this low value to the high value is our confidence interval. Our example problem tells us that a poll conducted the day before an election finds that 52% of voters plan to vote for Smith, and that she needs a majority, so more than 50%, in order to win without going to a runoff election. And the question is, if the margin of error for this poll was 3 percentage points, should we assume that Smith is going to win? All right, so first what we need to do is find the confidence interval for our survey. And we're told that 52% plan to vote for her. So that's our sample statistic. And then to that 52%, we're going to add our margin of error, which is 3 percentage points. We're also going to subtract our margin of error. And so when we subtract 3 percentage points from 52, we get 49%. And then when we add 3%, we get 55%. And so this is our confidence interval from 49% to 55%. So we're reasonably confident that the actual result, once the election is held, is going to be somewhere between 49% and 59%. Now notice that our confidence interval includes some values that are below the 50% that Smith needs in order to avoid a runoff. And so the answer to our question is no, we shouldn't assume that she's going to win because our confidence interval dips below that 50% mark.